Guys, how's it going? Happy Sunday. Let me get this room set up real quick and then we can get started, guys. So hopefully you guys had a great weekend. I'm going to go ahead and get everything all set up here so that we can kick off this trading week. Let's see, get those set up. A couple other things here that need to be set up as well. Today's the 7th of February. Here we are into February. Finish this up right here. Click on. I'm gonna let that load up and I'm gonna send out this link to everyone else. So I'm gonna get that going. Next one's gonna be, see, hopefully YouTube's kind of fixed the situation where I keep getting disconnected after being on for too long. So I got that set up there. Let's turn this on right here. And then after that, I think we should be good. Let me just get the Facebook open. All right, so it looks like we're good, guys. Let me go ahead and send this link out real quick, and then we can kick this session off. So if you guys, let me see if this chat's working. Actually, let me just send the link out real quick. If you guys are here, can you guys type in the chat if it's working? If not, yeah, let me just check real quick. Testing the chat, is it working? All right, so let me just send this link out real quick. So all of you guys here, that's sent out there, there, a few other places over here. And then I think one last place is going to be the Facebook and the Instagram. Hey, Matej, morning, bro. Well, evening over here. Yeah, evening, Peter. Hey, Squan, how's it going, bro? All right, cool. Thanks for clearing that up. Let me just post these links up real quick so everyone else can hop in, and then we can get started. So happy Sunday, guys. Hopefully you guys are ready to kick off the trading week. I sure am. Took a couple scalps there for US 30. I'm kind of waiting for it to come down, down to here, test the structure, test the pivot, and then probably catch it for another scalp upwards. But I'm going to go ahead and send out this link real quick, and then we should be good to go. So let me just send this right here. Grab this link over here. All right, let me get this there. I think one last place I got to post this before we get started. Hey, Salim, how's it going, bro? Hey, Lloyd, thanks for confirming. Hey, Cameron. Hey, Matt. Hey, Jeremy. Happy Sunday as well. Happy and hello, Louisa. How everybody? All right. So let me just get this link sent out. Sorry, guys. I kind of was reading too many things at once. Let me send this link out to the Instagram real quick, and then we can get started. So let's see. Yeah, I'm just looking for some scalps right here for US 30. Usually I don't like to trade too early in the week until things get back into full swing. And that's why I didn't take the Sunday entry that Josh usually takes. Obviously, the market's kind of weird today. It's following NFP last week, so obviously the market's kind of all over the place. It needs to stabilize before I'm ready to take any trades. So let me just get this. Post it on the page. I think we're good for the most part. All right, got this sent on the Instagram, and I think we're good to go. So let me go ahead and check out the chat real quick, and I'll see who's in here. Hey, Kyle, how's it going, bro? Nice. Lloyd said took a scalp off gold too, following the master hitting the market early. Nice. Lloyd, let me check out gold real quick for you guys to see what Lloyd picked up. Looks like he made some money off gold this evening. So let me just pull up gold really quick. Let's see, we got gold right down here. So let me zoom out from here. Hey Lloyd, which time frame did you use? We're using the 10 or we're using the 30-minute? So I'll check the 10 real quick. I'll see if I saw anything over here. Let's see. Yeah, so it looks like there might have been a couple entries right here actually. So let me just pull this off. And then let me all right, so it looks like there was a couple entries right here actually. So it looks like you might have taken this one right here, Lloyd. This rejection off this point. So this satisfies the requirements right here. There's a rejection off the structure, rejection off the pivot right there. So I think Lloyd might have taken that trade right there. If you took that trade, looks like you might have been in some profit already. So went down at least 100 pips. Not sure what your TP stop loss would be. I usually have it around here at the middle of the pivots. So if you did that, it was about 100 pips right there. So that would have been a nice scalp if you took that one right there. Looks like it would have hit full TP. So nice work on that, Lloyd, if you took that trade. Looks like you could have stacked a couple more too. So there's one entry there. There's another entry right next to it. There's a whole bunch of entries right here. So you could have stacked all of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So maybe like 6 entries right here. And if you stack all those up, that could be some nice profit, on the way, because it looks like it's about to drop even further right here. So nice catch on that, Lloyd. If you took this scalp right here, let me check the 30-minute real quick to see if there's a scalp there as well for gold. I mean, there probably is. Let's see. And this is for you guys using the K² snipe strategy, right? Everyone here is pretty much using the same strategy. So if you guys are familiar with it, we just look for a double rejection off the K² pivots and off the K² SR zone. And once those are met, we can lock in some nice profits. So looking at this right here, actually, there's a lot of entries right here too. So on the 30-minute right here off gold, looks like we had a couple entries over here. I'm not sure if anyone took these trades, but let's see. So we have one right here, this green candle, rejection off the pivot, rejection off the structure. If you took that trade right there, it looks like it would have hit full TP right there for about 332 pips. And it looks like there's another entry right next to it as well. So this first green candle, there's an entry right there. Again, right here on this next green candle. So there's 2 entries right there, both for about 300 pips. Another one right here for this red one. So there's a bunch of entries you could have stacked. 1, 2, 3. There's 3 entries right there. So 3 times 300, you could have locked in like about 900 pips off that. And it looks like there's another entry right here as well. So we have the rejection off the pivot and the structure. If you took that trade right there, it looks like it's still active right now. Still active, but on its way to full TP right there. So not sure if you guys caught this one right here, or if you guys caught the 10-minute. Oh no, this is the 10-minute. It's not my bad. What am I looking at? Yeah, my bad, guys. This is the 10-minute chart. Let me go on the 30-minute. Actually, I was literally just looking at that. So let me take this off. I'm gonna go over to the 30-minute right here. Doesn't look like there's any entries on the 30-minute. So it looks like your entry on that other trade, Lloyd, was probably on the 10-minute, right? Well, actually, if you're trading on the 30-minute, there's actually a buy entry right here. So if you were looking at this, I think last week, I guess, right here, if you caught this trade right here, this is actually entry at this point, because you see the rejection off the pivot, rejection off the structure. If you took those right there, long position right here, full TP in the other direction for about 500 pips right there, right? So it doesn't really matter if you took, the 30-minute last week, I guess on the 5th. If you took this trade, that would have full TP. If you took this other scalp right here on the 10-minute, this would have been a full TP as well. So either way, if you traded on the 30-minute, you would have caught this buy. If you traded on the 10-minute, you would have caught this sell, or all these sells actually. There's a bunch of sells right here. So that looks good for the most part. Let me go ahead and check out the chat, see if I missed anything else before we continue. Yeah, so Lloyd said I took it off the 15-minute, able to access the 10-minute. Yeah, it went down 300 pips. Nice. So Lloyd actually took this on the 15-minute. So you guys can see here that there was an entry that would have won here on the 10-minute. There was also an entry here that would have won on the 30-minute. And, let's just check out Lloyd's entry as well, because Lloyd took it on the 15-minute. It shows that, you can use this strategy on, literally any time frame, and it works perfectly fine. It doesn't matter if you want to trade it on the 10-minute, 15-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute. It's up to you what you want to trade it on. But Lloyd traded it on the 15-minute right here. And if I turn on the zones over here, so it looks like nice. Yeah, it looks like Lloyd picked it up. I mean, there's a couple entries here that you could have taken. There's one up here. There's a couple down here as well. And this whole area is a zone. So you technically could have taken like literally any of these. So let me just go ahead and turn this off real quick. Oh shit, wrong one. This one right here. So it looks like Lloyd, if he took the trade today, he would have taken one of these right here. So yeah, it looks like he probably would have taken. Oh, actually, there was one way earlier. So right here, if you took, there's a bunch of entries right here. So there's one right here. There's two right here actually. So there's one right here, this green candle, because you can see that the candle rejects off the pivot. See, it rejects off the green and yellow pivot, also rejects off the structure. So if you took that trade right there, Lloyd, it looks like that would have been a full TP right there for about 500 pips. That's a big move right there. And then again, right next to it, this red candle, it rejects off the pivot on the structure of the K2 SR level. You could have taken that right there as well for, let's see. Looks like you took 300 pips, right? So if you took 300 pips for your target, it would have hit full TP right there as well. So those are some pretty good moves for gold. I'm probably going to start looking at gold myself because it looks like everyone in K2 has been killing it off gold, scalping. So if you took, it doesn't matter if you took it on the 10-minute, like 6 entries right there, took it on the 30-minute, 1 entry right here, took it on the 15-minute, there's 1, 2 entries right there as well. And there's another one right here as well that's even still technically active right there. So there's a bunch of entries here for gold. I might start taking a look at this as we continue on with that. So let me go ahead and take a look at everything else over here and see what else is good. Let me check out the chat actually to see who else is still here. Here, let me check this out right quick and see what's here. Hey John, how's it going? Louisa said, what is Josh's strategy? So Louisa, Josh's strategy is pretty simple. It's kind of similar to the normal US 30 strategy, except what Josh does is he takes it on the market reopen from the weekend. Me personally, I think it's a risky strategy because the market hasn't like stabilized yet from the previous week. So I personally don't really I don't take it myself, but I scalp within it. So if you guys saw my calls earlier, I took the scalp that went in the direction of Josh's entry, this one right here. Unfortunately hit stop loss because it reversed the way up like this. But I took the other entry. So I took this, it hit stop loss. I took this, and then that one actually hit TP right there. So I covered my loss. I'm basically at a little bit in profit right now for the week, which is not bad. I'd rather be in profit than in the negative. But Josh's strategy is pretty simple. It's, basically you just wait for the market to reopen. So like, for example, right here, the market reopened. Let's see, the 7th. Market reopened right here on this candle. So you can see how crazy the market moved, right? So right here at 1500 hours, you can see that the market, look at this huge spike. Price shot up and it spiked down like a good 600 pips, right? That's why I usually don't like trading it on market open. But the way that Josh's strategy works is you just take the first signal on market open. So you take the first K2 signal right here, which would be this one. And it's a risky trade, obviously, right? So if you took this trade right here, I think it's it pushed up a bit, really close to stop loss, but it didn't hit stop loss yet. I didn't take the trade, so I don't know if it hit stop loss or not. I wasn't following it, but it looks like it got really, really close. So it got super close to the stop loss right there, and then it started to drop back, right here. So for this situation right here, it's a very risky trade. Obviously it was in profit. When it first opened, it dropped in profit about, it dropped in profit like 300 pips. So it dropped in profit pretty nice. I know we haven't really discussed, any exit strategies for that yet. Me and Josh are going to meet this week, actually. So we're going to meet. We're going to probably discuss, what changes need to be done to the strategy. It's not my strategy, so I'm not, well versed in it. That's why I don't use it for the official calls. It's something that Josh created on his own. Kind of just looking at patterns of how the market moves when it reopens. So this is what the strategy is here, Luisa. Basically, you just wait for the market to reopen for the weekend or from the weekend right here. You can see the difference right here. It goes from February 5th to February 7th. So at this point, you would have taken the first signal right here, and then you would have gone for 1500 pips, which is what we marked up right here. But, like I mentioned, I didn't take this trade, so I've been following it. I'm not sure if anyone is still in it, but if you guys are, technically it's still active. Looks like it could possibly drop back down. But I'm looking at the scalps here. So I'm just waiting for it. As to whether it'll drop or swing back up, who knows what will happen from there. I'm just waiting for it to come down and create another scalp entry. That's what I'm looking for because I'm just scalping today. The next 4-hour candle closes at 10, so in about an hour and a half, I'll look for Forex entries. But if there's nothing good to take, then I'm probably not going to take anything. Kind of similar to this right here. I gave you guys this hint for NZD JPY. I mentioned that there was an entry right here, but that the market wasn't, it wasn't really moving smooth. So like right here, as soon as this candle closed, it dropped down a little bit, but it can easily swing right back up. So I'm gonna reanalyze this at about 10, see if I want to call this for an official entry. If it looks good, I'll call it. If not, then we're probably gonna hold off until maybe tomorrow. So that's about it for that. Let me see if there's anything else here before I continue on. Hey, Andrew, how's it going? Let's see. Quantity goals hitting good for a nice sell. Yeah, definitely, Saquon. I just saw it right now as well. Ivan said, Shawn, can you explain what slippage is and how to avoid it, please? Thanks. You can't really avoid slippage, Ivan. The only way you can avoid slippage is by not trading, right? Because slippage happens if price moves too fast. So like, for example, here. So let me just, well, yeah, I could use US 30 for an example. So for example, here for US 30, like you can see how like price kind of spikes around, right? So like, let me see this right here. Okay, so I'll just use this as an example because I think you mentioned that you got stopped out of this trade right here, right? So your stop loss, I guess you said your stop loss was like somewhere like right here. So for example here, if price is moving, if it's too volatile and price just spikes up and then spikes down, kind of similar to what happened right here, actually, this is probably a better example. So say if you're say you entered a position like last week, right? So you entered a position last week and then market opened and it spiked up like this right here, right? So say market spiked up right here, but this is where your stop loss is. If price is moving too fast, it'll pass right through your stop loss, and then it might not even trigger your stop loss. It might just keep going, and then your position will never close out. That's what slippage is. Sometimes it'll close out late, sometimes it'll close out early, sometimes it won't close out at all. Depending on what broker you're using, I think you mentioned you're using Hugo's Way. If you're using an unregulated broker, they don't give a shit about your account. So if your account goes up and you lose more money than you wanted to lose, they're not going to care. They're just going to let your trade keep going, right? Because they make money when you lose. So you got to keep that in mind. Like slippage is something that you can't really avoid. The only way to really avoid is to not trade. Like just don't trade when market's moving crazy. So like, for example, don't trade over the weekend. Because if you took this trade right here, like say you took this trade on Friday and you had a sell position, your stop loss was up here, right? If you did that, you can see this big gap right here, right? So this big gap happened, market opened, it spiked up like what, 600 pips, and you had no control over it because your broker is probably not open yet, or slippage occurs where your price just spikes right past your stop loss and it doesn't trigger it. So the main way to avoid this is to not trade when market conditions are crazy. Like don't trade over the weekend, don't trade during news, don't trade when certain things are happening, because if price is moving too fast and your broker's not able to execute your stop loss, when you want it to, then that's going to be on you. This is more prevalent with like unregulated brokers because they don't really care about their traders, right? If you're trading on an unregulated broker, they're trying to make money off you. So if you're trading with them and you hit your, slippage happens and it passes past, because I think your question here, Ivan, I'm not sure if this is you. I'm pretty sure this is you, right? I guess check mark. Because you said you don't like to use your real name, I'm assuming. So let me see. You, because I had to respond to you on here. Let's see. Yeah. So you said Shawn. Oh, okay. So I'm sure this is you, right, Ivan? Because you said your Hugo's Way stop. Yeah, Hugo's Way MC4. My stop loss hit about an hour ago. Close out 31,331.99. But your stop loss didn't include the 0.99, right? So for example, here, let me just. So I'll use this for example. So say your stop loss was right there, but it technically closed up here, right? That's what slippage is, because price shoots right past your stop loss, and then it just ended up closing it up here. Sometimes it won't even close it at all. So keep that in mind. Where like in some situations it might not even close. So this is what slippage is. It's a very simple concept, but it's not something that you could really avoid unless you just don't trade. So I don't know if that really helped and answered your question, but that's basically what slippage is. Slippage is just basically when price is moving too fast, like volatility is way too high, it goes right past your stop loss, and then it either closes it up here, or it can close it up here, anywhere around this area, or it might not even close it at all. Like you'll open up your trade, and then it'll show that your stop loss is missing, but it never triggered it. So just keep that in mind. I know you're new, Ivan, so this is like probably brand new to you, but you'll probably run into it, a few times, especially with Hugo's Way. If you're using a regulated broker, they're like sanctioned by like, the trading commission. So when this happens, they have to refund you. But if you're using an unregulated broker, they just let your trade continue on, and pretty much, it just keeps on pushing, and then close it whenever they want to. So that's a quick explanation for slippage. If you want a more detailed explanation, just Google it. It's pretty simple. Just go to google.com, see slippage. Yeah, so if you go to Google, you just go on Google, type in slippage. It says right here, regard to futures contracts and other financial markets, slippage is the difference between where the computer is supposed to exit, but it doesn't actually exit. So if you want to have a more detailed explanation, just Google it. I mean, this is your best resource. You just Google slippage, and there's so many definitions right here. But hopefully my explanation helped you. It's a pretty simple concept, but I know you're brand new, so it might be a little complicated for you to understand right away. So that's pretty much it for that question. Let me see if there's anything else here before we continue on. Let's see. All right. Colin said only 8 likes. Come on, guys. Yeah, guys, if you guys haven't liked the stream, if you guys can, that'll definitely help. And I'll continue to come live for you guys every day to give you guys advice and answer your questions. My main goal here is just to grow this channel and help out as many people as I can. So if you guys like the stream, that'll help us find more people who need help with trading or like anything in general with regard to K2. And then, sorry, I'm getting some messages here. And then we can continue to help more people. So that's about it. Oh yeah, and if you guys emailed me and if I haven't gotten back to you, just send me another email, guys, because over the weekend I had like 300 emails, so I might have skipped over a couple. Also on Telegram, if you guys messaged me on Telegram, I had like 80 messages over the weekend because I didn't trade on Friday, so I had all the messages from Friday, and then I had messages over the weekend as well. If I haven't gotten to you yet, just send me another message to remind me, because I'm not ignoring you guys. It's just I had too many messages over the weekend, so I missed a whole bunch. Hey, morning, Hamizan. Hey, Trell. Weekend was good, Trell. I was at a chill weekend. I didn't trade on Friday, so I kind of took Friday off. And then yesterday I just hung out pretty much, just rested. NFP was a crazy week for all of us. I feel like a lot of people got burned, or they were just stressed out because the market was just bouncing around so much. So I kind of chilled over the weekend. I'm refreshed now, so I'm ready to make some money. And I'm ready to just get this week started. Thankfully, I'm in profit so far. If you guys took my calls earlier, I didn't make any official calls, but I didn't tell you guys what I was trading. So if you guys did follow it, I did take a scalp earlier for US 30. It was for a small loss, and then I took a scalp in the other direction. So I took a scalp right here. I'll just show you guys what I took. I took a scalp right here. This was my mistake right here because I thought that this was a sell, but in actuality, it was a buy. So I thought Frank who mentioned it. I think Indra, you reminded me about this, and I think you're in here as well, Indra, right? So I'll just answer your question on here because I think you were talking about. Yeah, if you have time, can you briefly what you mean by the top projection? So Indra, I'll explain what I meant right here, right? So we were looking at this candle over here, Indra, and so what happened was I took the sell, but this actually was for both the sell and a buy because we had a rejection right here, and then we also had a rejection down here, right? So when this happens, I usually don't take the trade. I just skip it. The problem is I wasn't looking at it from that perspective because I entered late. I entered on this candle right here. And what happened was I took the sell because I didn't see this. I didn't see this rejection down here. The only rejection that I looked at, because I was so focused on a sell because people were taking the daily entry using Josh's strategy, I only saw this right here, right? If this happens where you have double entries, I just skip the trade because odds are it's going to be a really risky trade. And that was my mistake because I took the short right here when I should have taken the long. I took the short right here for about 500 pips. And then it stopped me out, right? So this is what happened with this. It stopped me out off this trade, but it was completely fine because I ended up taking this trade right here because we have the rejection off the pivot, rejection off the structure. And I took this one in the other direction up here. And then it ended up hitting full TP for me. So I got out with some profit right here. This was my bad. I could have avoided this and I could have been, deeper in profit for the day. But, shit happens, guys. Like, sometimes you make mistakes like that. The main thing is that you learn from the mistake and you don't make that mistake again moving forward. So Indra, this is what I meant about the top rejection right here. There was actually an entry because we had a top rejection right here where this wick rejected off this structure and this top pivot, right? Pivot one and the structure. So this would have qualified for a sell entry, which is what I took. That's my mistake right there because I didn't identify this one right here. There's a top rejection and there's also a bottom rejection. So this is what I meant about this over here. Okay, perfect. So Andrew, you saw it. That's what I meant right there. But yeah, because you identified that, right? You sent me this right here. You were asking if that was a valid entry. It's a valid entry for both a buy and a sell. But if this happens in the future, I would just ignore it and then wait for the next one. Because if I ignore this one right here, then I could have just taken what was I looking at? Oh yeah, I could have just taken this one right here, which I did take, and that would have been a full TP. And then again as well over here. So that's one entry right there. And I think there was a second entry that appeared right here as well. So we had that entry right there that hit full TP. There's another entry right here with the rejection off the pivot and the structure right there. So if you took this entry right here as well, I think that would have hit full TP too. Yeah. So we would have 3 entries. We'd have this entry right here. And then there's another one right here. So if you guys are familiar with the strategy that we all apply here to scalp, there's like, there's one entry right here. Where's it at? Yeah, there's one entry right here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 entries right here actually, right? So if you took all of these trades right here, they all would have hit full TP if you stack them, like I mentioned. So we have one right there, and one right there. So if you look at all these right here, these all would have hit full TP. If you guys were using the K2 snipe strategy that pretty much everyone's been using so far, you know, this is probably our most profitable strategy. You know, in regards to volume, because for this, you can take so many trades and they all hit full TP right there, right? So you could have had, and we take 500 pips each for each scalp. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4. That'd be about, sorry guys, my counting sucks. That'd be 5 times 4. That'd be 2,000 pips. So you make 2,000 pips off that trade. And that's what I'm waiting for right here as well, guys. I'm waiting for this to come down here, reject off this structure and this pivot. And then when that happens, I'm gonna do the same thing I'd been doing this whole time. I'm gonna take another buy entry and then ride that again for another full TP. So that's pretty much what I'm looking for here. Until that happens, you know, we're just gonna sit tight. And yeah, I mean, I'm gonna keep watching it, but if there's anything else that comes up, then I'll take those trades as well. But this is pretty much what I'm looking for here. So let me go ahead and see if there's anything else here that I need to cover before we continue on. Nice, Saquon. So you took that gold trade too as well, right? Yeah, it looks like both of you guys ate off that gold entry that we looked at earlier. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I was looking at gold right here. So some people took this gold entry on the 10-minute. This hit full TP. It's the same strategy I just mentioned. Rejection off the pivot, rejection off the structure, sell right there, and then full TP. That's on the 10-minute. There was another one on the 15-minute over here. So it doesn't really matter which time frame you were trading on. It looks like if you were to apply this strategy on any time frame, really, it would have hit full TP regardless. So like right there, let me back up real quick. Go back to gold. All right, so we had the 10-minute entry right here, full TP, 15-minute entry right here, another full TP, and then 30-minute right here, full TP as well. So it doesn't matter if you're trading on the 10-minute, 15-minute, 30-minute. If you use the same strategy on any time frame, it would have hit full TP on gold. I've seen a lot of you guys make a lot of money off gold using this strategy, so I think I'm going to start looking at it myself and take some gold entries as well. Because, you know, if there's money to be made, I'm going to join the party with you guys. So I think that's about it for that right there. Let me just go ahead and see if there's any other questions. And then if there's nothing else, then I'll probably just go through the Forex pairs and just show you guys what I think is going to play out this week. So let me see if there's anything else over here. Hey, Raj, how's it going, bro? Hey, Aga said, hi, Shawn. I just a thought for the new strategy, signal market open. If you look at the trend indicator, green, red, blue, together with the signal, and the red signal was actually a pullback signal. So Aga, yeah, let me go back to that real quick. So Aga is mentioning the Josh's strategy, which is the Sunday open strategy. Let me just go to the 10-minute real quick. And Aga was mentioning that if we use the trend meter, which is, that's a good addition, right? This is a new strategy. It's not something that I even use myself. So I'm always open to any improvements, you know, any recommendations, any improvements. So like Aga mentioned the trend meter down here. And you can see that the trend meter indicates that. So if you guys aren't familiar with the trend meter down here, basically the way that the trend meter works is if it's trending up on 4 different time frames right here, you can set the time frames 30-minute, 1 hour, 2 hour, and 4 hour. These are the intraday settings. If you have that set up there, you can see here that this indicates that that price is trending up, right? So for example, here it's green, price is trending up pretty heavy. If it's blue, price is just consolidating or it's indecisive. And if it's red, it's going to indicate that price is trending down, right here. So it shows that price is trending down overall. Price is indecisive, trending down, indecisive all throughout here, and then very, very bullish from right here, right? So Aga mentioned if we use this to look at this entry over here, then for example, if we have a sell signal and price is trending up, obviously this is just a small little retracement, right? It's going to indicate that it's a retracement. But if you take a buy signal and it's trending up, look at how many full TPs you could have hit right here. So trend meter is green, buy signal right there, indicating momentum swing upwards, full entry. So if I just rewind this, I could just rewind this here and you guys can see how this works. So basically right here, you see that it's green and green. You take that entry right there for a buy. There's a huge spike. Oh, actually, this was on the 4th. So this is like super far back. And this stop loss was kind of tight. So it probably would have been like to this. Generally, I like to put the stop loss at the swing, which would be somewhere over here. So that'd be about 88 pips just to be and you can see that there's an entry right there. Again, right here, there's another one. So this is just an explanation of the normal intraday strategy. If you guys are familiar with the K2 strategies, this is another strategy that we use. I personally don't use it as much anymore because I found other strategies that are a little more exciting, like the scalping strategy, another full TP right there. But this strategy obviously still works, right? I don't use it anymore because I have other strategies that I use. But obviously, if you use this strategy here, I mean, it still works perfectly fine, right? Another full TP right there. Green and green right here. Another one, a little long position right there. And you can see that the strategy actually still works very well. So that's a good tip that you mentioned because I haven't really looked at this in a while because I don't really use it anymore myself, although it does work. So you can see right here, we just have too many strategies and like, you just got to figure out what you like to use and you can just keep using it, right? Because if you keep using this, obviously another full TP right there. Like literally, if you just apply this strategy, you would have had a bunch of full TPs right here. This makes me kind of want to revisit the strategy because it works perfectly fine. Look at how many full TPs are right there. That's crazy. So Josh, I don't know if you're still in this live session, but maybe take a look at that. Maybe use the trend meter to like determine, if you should trade in the direction of the trend or if you should just continue what you're doing normally. Because it looks like it works pretty well. Like if you just back tested all these are a bunch of full TPs all the way from February 4th up until today, the 7th. There's a bunch of entries here that you could have taken. So it looks pretty good so far for the most part. So yeah, basically, if you've used this strategy before, I know you've used it before, Aga. You know how it works. We usually put our stop loss at the previous swing, and then you just ride the momentum up right there to full TP, and that's pretty much how you use it. Stop loss at the swing, full TP, and then you just keep applying it over and over again. See if there's anything else over here. Aga said, yeah, I mean, for the first signal, you can see save loss because, yeah, so Aga mentioned, I mean, for the first signal, you can save loss because with a sell with green trend meter is an actual buy signal, not a signal. Yeah, exactly, Aga. I understand what you're saying because you mentioned that it was a sell signal here, but the trend was up so strong, right? So we probably shouldn't have taken that sell. And yeah, I mean, this is still a new strategy that Josh just thought of. It's brand new. So we haven't even really tested it. So that's good that you brought this up because then now maybe Josh can use this to determine whether he should incorporate that into his strategy or not. Yeah, August said you can save loss because of sell green. Yeah, exactly. No, definitely. Yeah, I agree with your recommendation, Aga. But US 30 moves differently. So obviously US 30 doesn't move like Forex. So we usually don't even use the trend meter for US 30 because it's based mostly off momentum. If there's momentum in the market, it'll keep pushing that direction. That's why generally for our daily entry, we just take, whatever signal that goes in that direction on market open. It's different for the market open from the weekend because it's different from like during the week when the market is already open for London session prior. For here, it's brand new open. So price can literally spike in either direction. Here, let me go ahead and just see what else is over here. Hamizan said it's okay to sell US 30. I wouldn't sell it just yet. Hamizan, I mean, you can if you want, but I'm looking for a buy here. I'm waiting for it to come down, reject off the structure, and I'm gonna take a buy off that. So that is what I'm looking for here for the most part. All right, let me see if there's anything else here. Jensel said I can hear Kai. He's knocked out right now, Jensel. Tushar Kuar said, LOL, no risk management. I don't know what you mean by that comment, Tushar. No, what do you mean no risk management? Risk management is based off your percentage of risk, right? So, I mean, we didn't even go over percentage of risk here. Risk management, I don't think you understand what risk management is, Tushar. If you're, honestly, I don't know what you mean by that. Because if you're talking about risk management, say if my account was like 100,000, right? So like, for example, this is risk management. I'll show you what risk management is. So say like my account size is 100K, right? My like proper risk management is risking like, 1% to 5% max. We didn't even go over that today. So I'm not sure what you're even talking about when you're talking about risk management. Obviously 1 to 5% of 10K would be 1,000 risk to 5,000 risk, right? So I don't know, Try. If you want to be more specific with whatever you said, I could go over that. But I mean, you just said under risk management. I don't risk. Oh, you said risk to reward management. Oh, because it's 1-to-1. What's wrong with 1-to-1, Tashar? I mean, you go back and watch all my live streams. I don't think there's anything wrong with my 1-to-1. I'm probably more profitable than like, I don't know, whoever else you follow. So, yeah, I mean, Tashar, you don't have to trade, like, this is what Tashar probably thinks. He thinks you need to trade 1-to-4 every time, right? But how profitable are you doing that? You don't have to trade 1-to-4 every time. It's really up to your type of strategy. You don't have to trade 1-to-4. You don't have to trade 1-to-10. That's probably like what you think, right? Because like one person taught you to trade only 1-to-4, and you think that's the only 1-to-5. Yeah, what Gil just mentioned. Some people, like, this is funny because a lot of people who trade, they learn from one person, and one person is always like, yeah, you can only trade 1-to-100, right? They're like, yeah, have your stop loss this tight, and your TP should be right here. But if you look at their strategy, they lose like 100 times. They lose like so many times, and then they have one big win to just cover that loss. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm the best at trading because I'm taking like a huge risk to reward. For us, we have a high win rate here. If you go back to any of my live sessions, we have a high win rate. So we don't have to have a 1-to-4. We could do a 1-to-1. It just really depends on, how you trade, because there's no right or wrong way to trade, right? You don't have to trade 1-to-30 or like 1-to-10 or 1-to-5, anything like that. If you have a high win rate strategy, then you could trade 1-to-1. You could even trade like even worse than that if you're scalping and you have like a strategy that hits like 95% of the time, right? Because if you're hitting like 10 wins and you have one loss, and then say like each win is like, so like for example here, if you're going for like what I mentioned, 500 pips, right? So 500 pips, if we have like 500 times, I don't know, I'm trying to use like a basic example here. So 500, I'm just like, no, let's just say you done fired Shawn. It's funny because like people always come into the chat and they always like they only know like one way to trade. They think that you're supposed to trade like huge, like 1-to-3, 1-to-5, 1-to-10. But in reality, I've been trading 1-to-1 for years, bro, and I do pretty well. So, I mean, if I do pretty well, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, right? But like, for example, here, so like if you have a high win rate, so for example, if you do like 500 pips and then you have like, let's see, like 10 wins, right? So 500 pips times 10, you have 5,000 pips right there, right? Say like out of that time, you lose like 3 trades. So like 500 times 3, you only lose 1,500 pips, right? So if you're doing 1-to-1 here, I mean, basic math, bro, like 5,000 minus 1,500, am I still in profit? I'm pretty sure I'm still in profit here. So that's why 1-to-1 isn't a horrible strategy if you have a high win rate. it's really up to like how you trade. I mean, obviously, if you trade a strategy that has a low win rate, if you only have like a 50% win rate, then obviously, yeah, this isn't going to work for you. You can't do a one-to-one. But if you go to like all of our results here, so if I show you all of the results for, so let's go to our results from last year, right? Results from, let's see. Let's just go to the end of year right here. So if you go here to the end of year for Forex, we had about, and this isn't me trying to like attack anybody, right? It's just, I just get really annoyed when people come into the room and they like bring like whatever they learned from somewhere else and they think that that's the best way to trade. There's no best way to trade. You could trade any type of way that you trade as long as you're profitable. That's all that matters. So right here, we have 605 trades for Forex. And then if you divide, so we have 605 total trades. We have 459 wins, right? So 459 divided by 605. I have a 76% win rate, or if you want to be very exact, it's 0.75.8, 75.8 win rate, right? So I have a high win rate. I have a 75.8 percentage of winning trades for Forex. So for example, if you're doing one-to-one, and just using an example here, 100 minus 75.8, this is the percentage of loss right there. So if I'm doing a one-to-one and I'm above a 50% win rate, then there's nothing wrong with this win rate. So just, just trying to break it down for you guys. You don't have to trade with like 1 to 5 or 1 to 10 or anything like that. You could trade a 1-to-1 as long as your strategy is profitable and it has a high win rate. All right, guys, so let me get that real quick. All right, I'm back. So let's see. All right, let me see if there's any other questions before we get back. Yeah, Tushar, I mean, I'm not trying to attack you, but I'm just trying to say that, like, there's no right or wrong way to trade. If your strategy or whatever way you trade is profitable, then keep trading that way. But I wouldn't just bash one-to-one just because it doesn't work for you. It obviously works for all of us here. I mean, if you want to look at everyone's profits here, everyone's been killing it. So, yeah, I mean, that's that. And let's continue on with the session. Nilton said, do you trade on crash and boom, VIX 75? No, I don't. But it does work on it. I know there's people in the group that do trade it. So I'll show you, for example, here. How does the VIX? Do you know what the symbol is for volatility? I think it's just volatility, right? Vol 75. Let me see VIX. VIX 60. Yeah, if you Milton, do you have the symbol for it? I don't see it on here. I think you have to be on a certain broker. I know like some people have like the India broker or like the Africa broker of TradingView, or I mean they have like it's a different TradingView. Like you can access it on there, but I don't have it on mine because I don't trade it. But if I look at VIX, I don't know, is VIX part of S&P 500? Like this, I guess VIX 10. If you did this VIX right here, you can see that the strategy works perfectly fine on here as well. Because I know like certain people trade, like if you're located in a certain area, certain people from those areas trade those assets. I don't trade it because I don't think anyone in the U.S. really trades those assets. And I'm pretty much good with US 30, so that's why I don't really even venture out into these other assets. But I know some other people in the group that trade from other places. They apply the same strategy for the VIX. I'm assuming this is the VIX you're talking about, right? If it's not, if you have the symbol, that I could look it up, but I just don't know it by the top of my head because I don't actually trade that. But just looking at this here, you can see that the VIX as well. It's the same strategy that we were applying earlier, right? So you have the rejection off the structure, you have the rejection off the pivot, you take a short position right there, full TP off that. Again, right here, another rejection off, actually, no, not that. Another rejection off, no entry there. Another entry right here. So you have the rejection off the structure and the pivot right there. If you took that trade right there, I don't know if this would hit TP or stop loss. Looks like it would hit stop loss possibly because there's a big spike right there. So that would hit stop loss on that one. But if you took this one over here, there's a couple other ones. Another one right here, rejection off the pivot, rejection off the structure. That would have hit TP right there. So full TP right there. Another one right here. If you took this one right here, that's another full TP right there. So Nilton, if you know, like, you know, if you know the actual symbol, I can pull it up, but this is the one that I found. So if I look up VIX, this is the closest one that I can find. There's a whole bunch of them. I don't know. So I don't know if you trade the India VIX, or I'm not sure which one do you trade, or if I search up boom, see, I know there's a boom index, but I don't know what the symbol is for it. I know some people trade volatility. It's like an asset as well, like vol. There's a whole bunch here. So yeah, Nelson, unless you could be more specific with, you know, which one you're looking, which one you want me to look at. This is the closest one I could find, volatility 500. I think it's kind of similar to the 70 because the S&P is the one that's connected to it. Unless you're talking about the futures. But there's a lot of, I'll give it a few seconds for you to respond, Nelson. I'm not sure if you know it yourself, but I'm just looking here on the list and I don't see anything here that shows volatility 70. I know there's a future for it. So if you're talking about this, we can look at this right here as well. So if you wanted to look at the future index right here for, I don't know, for March, it's the same thing here as well. You know, you have the rejection off the structure, rejection off the pivot, depending on what strategy you want to apply. I mean, we have a lot of strategies here that we apply. You don't have to apply this, like the same specific one, but this looks exactly like the last one that we were just looking at. Sorry. Yeah, so this one right here, this volatility index looks the same as the other one that we just looked at. It's just that the other one is part of a different, man, what the fuck? House died. All right, turn this back on. Yeah, this one looks just like the other one that we were just looking at. So yeah, Nilton, I don't know if you have the symbol for it. I can pull it up if you have the symbol, but I don't have the symbol on here. I don't know what it'd be called because I looked up pretty much all the ones that were available. Damn, dude, is my computer just like fuck today? Hey guys, oh, my computer, my just died on me. I fully charge this. Sorry guys, having some technical difficulties here. I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with my my keyboard's logged off right now. Trackpad, Magic Keyboard. All right, I think I'm back on. There we go. But yeah, so Milton, I don't I haven't seen your response, so I'm not sure if you just logged off or if you don't know the symbol. I mean, if you don't know the symbol, just tell me that you don't know it, so I'm not, you know, just waiting for you. But just looking at the strategy here, it looks perfectly fine. The strategy works for any asset. If you want to trade Forex, if you want to trade indexes, if you want to trade futures, it's really up to you what you want to trade. But, you know, obviously, if you look at our profits here, there's like a lot of people who trade different things. Like if you look at the profits here, like a lot of people trade US 30. This is from C-Soup today. He kicked off the week with like some profit. You know, obviously Key over here, she trades Bitcoin. I mean, not Bitcoin, she trades cryptos. And then everyone here trades different things. They don't just trade one thing. So if you're in the group, Nilton, you can ask people and they can, you know, you can ask in the group and someone can answer. Cause I know someone here probably trades it, like Cheryl over here. She trades UK 100, the German 30. the DAX, UK 100, and all these other assets. So it just depends on what you want to trade. Everyone in K2 trades different things. So if you're asking me personally, I don't trade it, but there's other people in the group that do trade it. So yeah, Nilton's going to get the symbol. So if you can get that symbol, Nilton, that'd be good because I can look at it. Otherwise, I'm going to take a look at the Forex pairs right now. So if you guys have any questions, just put them in the chat, and then I can analyze anything that you guys want. You know, otherwise, I'm going to I'm just going to go down the Forex pair, see if there's any entries, because the next candle closes in about 50 minutes. So when that happens, we can take that trade. Let me check Telegram real quick. I got a bunch of text messages here. Let's see. All right, then responding to those messages. Yeah, so unless you guys have questions, I'm going to go through the Forex pairs real quick, and then you know, I can answer anything you guys want. So I'll just analyze these one by one. I already drew the zones, so if you guys need the zones, let me know so I can give them to you. Otherwise, I've already updated these zones right before I got on this live. So here, this is what I'll do first. I'll just analyze OddCAD from scratch. So if you guys are new here, you guys can see how I analyze things. So I'm gonna take everything off the chart. Here we have a naked chart right here, nothing on the chart. First thing I do is I turn on the K2SR indicator so that I can draw my zones. So from this point, I'll draw this upper zone. And then there's this one right here. This one right there. And this one right here. So that's pretty much it. Once I have that drawn up, I'll have some perfectly drawn zones right there, and I can analyze the chart. So you can see right here, if you zoom out, you can see that these zones are pretty strong, right? You can see that that price goes from zone to zone. So from right here, price break structure, pushes up to this zone, comes back down, rejection, comes back up, rejection, and it just bounces from zone to zone. So if you go back far enough, you can see that these same zones were tested over here as well, right? So I just drew these from today in December, and then looking back over here, you can see that these same zones that we just drew today were tested back in June and May of 2018, and then back in April 2018, and then here in February. This is a cool thing because like right now we're in 2021, right? Of February. Today's date is February 7, 2021. If you look here, you can see that February 7, 2018, price was in the same exact price point, right? So what do you think is going to happen here? This is probably going to repeat itself. Price is probably going to come down, and then it's probably going to shoot up, right? So if we go back to current time right now, you can see that price came down. And what do you think is going to happen here? It's probably going to shoot up from this point, right? So if price breaks and closes above here, then this would give me confirmation that price is probably going to shoot up from that point, right? Right here. It's in the same price point over here. But I'm just using that for an example. For right now, if I want to analyze this for today, what I would do is after I draw these zones, is I would turn on the momentum indicator to determine the direction of momentum, right? So I know where to trade. So for example, right here, we have a buy signal. So right now we have a bias for a buy right now. And I'm just going to draw some structure right here. And some structure right here. So using that for example, we have a rejection off this point right here. We have a buy signal right here. We have a break in structure right here. So what do you think is going to happen right here? All right. When you have a rejection, a buy signal, it breaks and closes past structure. What generally happens is price pushes up and tests the next structure. So once it gets to this point, then we can determine whether it's going to reject off here, come back down, or if it breaks through it and keeps pushing higher and higher, right? So that's kind of what I see happening right here. You know, until we have price react off the structure, then we could determine, you know, whether it's going to continue up or if it's going to come down. So here's the example that I showed you right here. Here's an example of when it happened right before. We have a rejection off this point. We have the buy signal right here. It also broke and closed past structure. So you see price breaks and closes past the structure. What happens from there? It pushes up to this structure right here. And then it does exactly what I mentioned up here, right? Once it got to that point, price could have either broken above it or it could have rejected down. And that's exactly what happened. It rejected down from this point. And then you can see that it did the same exact opposite in the other direction. We have a rejection right here. We have the sell signal right here. And then what happened from that point? It pushed down to this structure where it could have either broken through here or it could have rejected back up from this point. And it rejected back up from that point, right? So this is what I mean about, keeping trading simple, guys. A lot of people want to overcomplicate things, use like a million indicators. In reality, you just need to identify structure and identify the direction of momentum. And obviously, if you have access to the K2 indicators, it does all that for you. So you don't have to go and guess where the structures are. You don't have to go and guess what direction momentum is going, because a lot of people like to guess. And, that's where people go wrong, because they guess wrong and it ends up going the opposite direction. But if you have the K2 indicators, it pretty much takes all the guesswork out for you, because it shows you right on the screen, which direction it's going. And I could show you right here, like there's a bunch of examples here of how it works. Like again, right here, you see the rejection off this point. You see the buy signal right here. It pushes up to this structure. Once it breaks and closes past this structure, what happens from that point? It does exactly what I just mentioned. Pushes up to the next structure up here, and then it rejects back down. Sell signal, structure, rejection, buy signal, up, rejection, sell signal, comes down, rejection, buy signal, rejects off this point. And you can see that price just pretty much bounces from structure to structure. So what we're looking for is we're just waiting for that confirmation to indicate whether price is going to continue that direction or if it's going to reject off it. So like I mentioned over here, we have the rejection off this structure. We have the buy signal, price broke and closed past structure. So I'm anticipating this to push up to this point right here. The reason why I didn't call this trade is because it came up on Friday right here at 10 a.m. Market closed like a few hours after. That's why I didn't take the trade, right? But if I did, I probably would have taken this for a nice scalp for about 18 pips. I would have exited, took my profit, and then waited for it to break above here or reject off here where I can take it down this direction. So from this point right here, this is pretty much how I would analyze this. And you guys see how I analyze things. Now moving forward, unless you guys want me to analyze something specifically like I did for you here, just put it in the chat and I'll break it down for you guys. Otherwise, I'm just gonna draw my analysis for each pair rather than go and draw each structure, since I've already done that before I got on the session. So Ivan said, I still have odd CAD sell position open from last week. I removed stop loss. If you're saying it will go up, I'm screwed. Ivan said 76 points. Should I close now or wait for it to come down again whenever that might happen? So Ivan, I would never hold on to a losing trade like that. If the trade lost, take the loss and move on to the next one. You should never let your emotions get involved where you end up holding the trade longer than you should. If it hits stop loss, it hits stop loss. Just move on to the next one. I think that's the problem with a lot of traders. They want to keep holding on to a trade even though it lost, hoping that it'll come back down. But like I mentioned here, Ivan, if price ends up breaking above here, it's going to keep pushing up. It's not going to come back down. So I would just cut your losses now and move on to the next trade. And then just for future reference, don't hold on to trades like that. If you have a stop loss set, then eat the loss. If not, then it's not going to end well, because you can't just keep hoping that trades are going to go your way. If you take the loss, just eat the loss and move on to the next one, rather than hoping and praying that it'll come back in your direction. Because the thing is, it can come down. I'm not saying that it won't come down, because it could come down from this point, close below this structure, and then come down further. But I don't want to take my chances. If you guys have followed me for a while, I only take trades that I'm like absolutely certain will hit. So that's why I don't just take trades just because. I take trades when I know they're going to hit, and I'm very picky with my trades. So Ivan, if you're still in that trade, I personally would just exit it, take your loss, and then move on to the next one so you can cover that loss. Because if you hold on to it, it's not going to end well. I mean, it could, but from my perspective, it probably isn't going to if you hold on to it for too long. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So Ivan said I removed stop loss before swap and kind of left it open. Yeah, Ivan, you can't do that, bro. You have to remember to put it back on if you're going to remove it. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out which trade did you take, Ivan. So if you took a sell, it would have been this trade right here, right? Because you had the rejection up this point, the sell signal right here, and then you would have just rode it to the next structure down here. So if you took this trade right here, you would have exited right somewhere around here, like 13 or so pips. So you would have hit TP off that. This technically wouldn't have been entry if you're applying any of the strategies that I recommend, right? If you're applying the strategy right here, like you do have the rejection, you have the sell signal, but it would have to break past structure. So for example, here, this would have to break past this structure down here for you to take that sell. So I'm not sure like where you took that sell from. I'm assuming you took it on your own, or if you applied a different strategy, because I'm not familiar with which one you might have applied. Sneeze real quick. Sorry guys, I had to sneeze. So yeah, Ivan, I don't know which trade you took here, because I don't see any sell positions here unless you you saw something different, or if you applied a different strategy. So I'm not sure what strategy you applied, and I don't know, where you were reaching for. But yeah, if you're in a sell, I wouldn't hold it because I think it's going to push up from here. And then you have about you're just going to go into more loss for about 15 pips until it reaches this structure where it can either reject off it, or if it would, break above it and continue higher. But I think it's going to keep pushing up. So let me see. This is what I'll do. I'll pull up the Aussie index and we'll match it with the Canadian index. And I'll just show you, what I think is going to happen right here just by looking at that specifically. So looking at this right here, this is kind of iffy because they're both strong. So this is bullish and this is bullish right here. So this is going to indicate that price is just going to go sideways for a bit. So if the Aussie index goes up, that means this is going to keep pushing up. However, if the Canadian index goes up and this goes down, so for example, right here, if this goes up, or no, if this goes down and this goes up right here, if it continues to push up, doesn't look like that. Oops. Yeah, so if this goes down and this goes up, then this will come down. Because if you guys are familiar with how price moves, if the Australian dollar is stronger than the Canadian dollar, then that's going to indicate that price is going up. If the Canadian dollar is stronger than the Australian dollar, then price is going to go down. So that's how price moves for these pairs. And in order to determine how strong each pair is, I just open the index for each dollar. So this is the Australian dollar. This is the Canadian dollar. They're both bullish. So with that said, it's just going to go sideways for a bit until one of these goes opposite of each other. So that's it for OddCAD. Let me see if there's any other questions before I continue on. Lloyd said, I'd still like to get that breakdown on gold though, bro, just to see if I'm on the right or similar track. Can do it later. So Lloyd, I'll look at that now actually before we continue on. So I'll pull up gold on the higher time frame first. I analyze this for like weeks on end, guys. So looks like this dropped pretty heavy right here. So I was analyzing this for back on January 8th. So I've been analyzing this since January 8th. I mentioned that once price breaks below or above the structure, it would continue, right? We waited a long time for this. So we waited about 26 days for this to finally play out. But once it played out, if you guys took my advice here and took this trade, you would have been in profit like 300 plus pips, because they dropped about, over 300 pips right there. So that's pretty much what I saw happening for gold on the longer time frame right here. I'll just keep analyzing it as we continue on. Let me see if there's any other zones here. Wow, okay, so there's a lot of zones here now, a lot of new zones. But looking at gold here, this is what could probably happen. So we got this buy signal here. It reached the structure, it rejected off it, so it might come back down from this point, because we do have the rejection off this structure. What we're waiting for next is a sell signal. If we get a sell signal down here and it closes down this point, then this would probably drop pretty nice from this point. So rejection off this point, we get a sell signal down here, kind of similar to what we got. Just looking for an example here. Yeah, so like for example right here, right? We have a rejection, sell signal, breaking close past structure, and it dropped down. So that's basically what I see here too. But it's just a trend continuation. So right here we have a breaking structure, we have a retest of the structure, and then rejection. And if it comes back down with that sell signal, it's probably just going to keep dropping further and further. So that's kind of what I see happening right here on the higher time frame. Looking at gold on the 15-minute, I think that's what you were using, right, Lloyd? So I'm gonna go back on the 15-minute over here. I'm gonna go back to gold. So we got gold right here. Damn, looks like it bounced up for a bit, right? So let me see. We have I'll just leave that on first so we can see what we were looking at before I close that off. So this is why I don't trade gold. Gold is like one of the highest manipulated pairs that you can trade, because based on news or if anything else is going on, that could highly affect the market. So there's no news this morning, but I don't know if there's anything else. So Yellen focus on 60,000 threshold. There's some US news right here. So this is going to affect the market right here. It's going to affect gold, because the stimulus check, if they're printing a lot of money in the US, then it's going to increase the value of gold because the value of the US dollar goes down, right? So just like I mentioned earlier, if you tie these together right here, if you tie gold and the dollar index, if the dollar index is weak, then gold will continue up. So if I pull this up right here, and then I pull up the DXY, so you can see here that the dollar is weak, right? If the dollar is weak and it continues pushing down like this, then gold's going to push up. It's going to keep pushing up higher. So you got to keep that in mind as well when trading gold, because gold is highly manipulated. But looking at this here, Lloyd, you did catch this perfectly. So if you took this trade over here, this is a perfect sell entry, right? Because we have the rejection off the structure and rejection off the pivot for a sell entry right there to full TP. Again, right here, there was another entry that was also available. So just looking at this here, there's also another entry available right here that would fit the scalp requirements right there. So you're on the right track. The only problem is with the news right now. So with the news right here, where they're talking about the stimulus, which is going to affect the value of the US dollar. With that said, it's going to push the value of gold up. But that's something that you probably wouldn't have you wouldn't have even thought about that, especially if you don't analyze things from a fundamental perspective. Because I mean, obviously, I'm not looking at the news 24/7, so I wouldn't even know that would have happened. But let me see if there's anything else here that could have affected the market. Yeah, there's nothing specific here. The only thing that I could see that would have affected, aside from this, the only thing that I could see affecting gold right now is this news right here, regarding the stimulus. But other than that, I don't really see anything else here that could have affected it. But obviously, it's pushing gold up. As you can see right here, it's getting pushed up pretty heavy. So I'm not sure where your stop loss is, or if you're still in this trade, Lloyd, but it's not necessarily looking like amazing right now, right? Because it's pushing up. So if this happens, so for example here, if this hits your stop loss, it might have hit your stop loss already if you're still holding on to this. So it looks like you would have taken a win on here. If you would have taken a loss on here, that's completely fine. Just eat the loss on there and then move on to the next one. Because now, for example, if price ends up rejecting off this point, say we get a rejection off the pivot and rejection off structure, you can just take the opposite position for a buy and then cover that loss, right, in that direction, and then just keep scalping it upwards. So yeah, Lloyd, I mean, this is what I see happening right here. I'm sure you took this one, right? So you probably should have hit TP already. If you're in this position, you might have taken a loss, but that's completely fine because you can take the next one as another pivot entry appears in the opposite direction. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so Lloyd said, no, I came out of that a long time ago. All right, cool. So that's perfect. Yeah, good thing that you got out, because the market's not, it's all over the place right now. So you made a good decision by getting out of that trade. I would just wait for this to come up right here now. So now that we have this set up, what I'd be looking for next is I would be looking for, actually, you have a couple buy entries right here as well. So this right here is actually a buy scalp right here. You have the rejection off the pivot, rejection off the structure. So if you took that trade right there, it looks like that would have hit TP, or it's on its way to TP right there. I can't remember what the sweet spot is for this because I don't trade it. But if your sweet spot is like 300 pips, it looks like it's on its way to TP right there. So yeah, if you guys want to keep that in mind, I mean, this is one that's running currently. It's probably going to push up even higher, especially because the dollar is weak right now. Just looking at the dollar index, it's weak. So the weaker it is, the stronger gold's going to be, and easier it's going to be for you guys to lock into profits off there. I'm thinking about scalping this for the last couple of pips, about right here, for about 100 pips, but spread 76 pips, so it's going to be risky for us to even try to hop into that. Nice. Yeah, Lloyd said, yeah, that's the buy I'm looking for. Thanks, bro. You on point, man. Yeah, no, definitely. So if you took that trade right there, congrats, because you're about to hit your full TP. And yeah, we'll just wait for it to come back down. As it comes back down, if we see another rejection off the pivot and the structure somewhere around here, then you could hop in for another buy right there, lock in some double, triple wins. Because I know you went off this trade over here. So if you went off this trade and then you went off this trade, just keep stacking up those wins for gold. So that's about it for gold right there. Let me see what else we have on the list. Tony said, yo, can you recommend a good trade copier? Appreciate it. So Tony, I personally use Social Trader Tools. So if you go to, I'm just opening it up for you right here. I use this for myself. This isn't a normal copier. So this isn't a I don't know which kind of copier you're referring to, Tony. I don't know if you're talking about a Telegram copier or if you're talking about an actual copier. This is an actual copier. So if I take trades on my master account, if you guys are familiar with how I trade, I have 3 FTMO accounts and then I have a couple personal accounts that I trade. So I use this for my own. So if I trade, I take one position on my FTMO, one of my funded accounts, it copies to my other funded accounts and it also copies over to my personal accounts as well. So that's what I use here. If you're asking about a Telegram copier, I don't have one that I can recommend because I don't use that. I never recommend using any type of automation like that because there's so much room for error if you're using something like that. And I don't personally like to teach people to be lazy, right? I want you to be like, if you're using a copier, it's fine if you're copying your own trades, but if you're using a Telegram copier, that's just straight lazy right there. And that's just like a recipe for you blowing your account because whoever you're copying from could or whatever signals you're copying from could easily show up wrong. Because I've seen some people sometimes where I'll send a trade in the premium. So I'll send like an unofficial trade, right? Sometimes I'll send unofficial trades. So if I type in official, if I send a trade that's not official and you have a copier that's running like see like this, for example, here I said, here's a daily US 30 entry, won't make an official call due to it being Friday and because the market's moving crazy. If you have a Telegram copier, it's going to copy this trade, even though I clearly said it's unofficial right there, right? So if that happens, then you could be in for a bad trade if you end up taking it. So just keep that in mind if you're using a Telegram copier. Otherwise, if you want to use a normal copier, you can use Social Trader Tools. That's what I use. All right, so let me see if there's anything else here to look at before I continue. Ollie said if I can look at GU. Okay, I'm gonna pull up GU real quick. And then other than that, I'm gonna go down the list of the pairs here. So I'll analyze GU from scratch so that you guys can see how I analyze things again. So here is the naked chart right here. Nothing on the chart. I'm gonna turn on the K2SRs right here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and draw my zones. So let's draw my zones. One down there. One right there. Right there. Right there. Right there. And one right there. All right, so that's done. Next, I'm gonna turn on the momentum indicator. Actually, let's see where these zones have been tested. So currently, the last time price was in this area was back in May of 2018. So going back to where we drew these zones, last time it was in this area was in May of 2018, April into May. And then before that, it was in this area around January of that same year. Yeah, so it looks like the last time price was in this area, the same exact price point was in 2018, back in January up until April into May. And that's about it. So looking at this here, once we have this lined up, I turn on the momentum indicator right here. And then we obviously have a bullish momentum. So we have a rejection from this point down here. We have a buy signal right here confirming a bullish bias. So if price ends up closing above this structure right here, then we can take a buy position, a long position from there, right? That's what I'd be looking for here. However, looking at where price currently is, so that's scenario number one. Scenario number one is price pushes above here, closes, and then we can take a buy signal. That's scenario number one. Scenario number two is we have a rejection off this point, right? So this is another scenario. Another scenario is that price rejects off this point, pushes down below here. Say we get a sell signal somewhere down here, and then it continues farther down, right? If it closes below here, then this is where I would take the sell. Say if it closes below here, then I would take the short position right there. The reason why I would avoid taking within this area over here, like these small areas, because price can easily reject off any of these points. So say, for example, right here, price comes down and doesn't close and break below the structure, right? If that doesn't happen, this can reject off that point right there. Say it comes down to here, it can reject off this point right here, and then etc. from down here, right? So just looking at previous data over here, you can see that when price comes down from that point, so like for example right here, we had a rejection, we had a sell signal, but look what happened. When we had a rejection sell signal, it was at the structure right here. It ended up swinging all the way back here, right? And then again right here, attempted again, rejection, came back again down here, rejection, came back down here, huge rejection from here. So that's why I wouldn't take these trades until there's a confirmation that price is broken like a strong structure. But you know, like I mentioned right here, there's two scenarios. Price can either come above here, then you can take a long position, or price can reject off this point. And then once it gets to this point, it can either reject off here or it can reject off here as well. So price comes down, it can reject off this point. Or if it comes down further, it can reject off this point. If it comes down further, it can reject off this point. There's just too many rejection points, right? And that's why I wouldn't want to take these trades here, because price can easily reject off any of these points. Obviously, I want to be 100% sure when I take this trade. So if I do take this trade, I want it to either close above here or close below here. There's not enough space between these gaps right here. It's only about 20 pips. I'm not going to trade 20 pips and then risk it reversing on me and going the complete opposite. I want at least like 30 pips for me to take that trade. So if price breaks below here, then I would have better opportunity for me to take a farther trade. Like for example, right here, price broke below the structure, it dropped like 50 pips, right? We have like a total move of about 100 pips. So even if I was to take this trade right here, say if I took a short position right here, right? Short position off this point, I would move my stop loss and profit to like right here. So even if it did reverse like that from this point, I get stopped out in profit. You know, it's a win-win for me. But if you're trading over here, there's not enough space. So that's why I wouldn't really want to trade within those little areas. So that's about it for GU right there. I think that's about it for the questions right now. So I'm going to go down these other Forex pairs, and I'm just going to give you guys a quick analysis for what I think is going to happen for majority of these pairs. Otherwise, I'm going to keep watching for an entry right here off the, I'm going to set an alert actually, so that I can see when price comes down and tests like one of these pivots right here. So I can take another scalp upwards, or I can take it downwards if there's another entry in the other direction. All right, so that's about it for US 30. Let me go down the list now. So we looked at odd CAD already. I'm gonna look at odd CHF. Currently right here, we have a rejection off this structure down here. Sorry, rejection off this structure, buy signal. So since we have a current buy signal, our bias is for a buy right here. So we have a rejection, we have a breaking close past this structure. It shot up to this point, rejection right here, shot back up. So what I'm looking for odd CHF is a close past this structure right here. If I see a close past this structure, then I can take a long position from there. But until that happens, I'm just gonna be waiting. See odd JPY right here. There's actually an entry right here. I missed it. This was actually from Friday. That's why I didn't take it. But technically there's a buy entry that's technically active right now. We had the rejection off this point. We had the buy signal right here. We had the breaking close past structure up here. Provides for a buy signal right there. So there's technically a buy signal that's running for odd JPY if you guys took this entry on Friday. And this looks pretty good because looking at the other JPY pairs, they're all bullish, right? Bullish, 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 somewhat bullish. So just looking at this here, this looks like this could be a decent entry, right? I mean, a decent move if you guys caught this move earlier. So I think this is going to continue to be bullish. Otherwise, you know, we're just going to be waiting for this to play out until it hits TP. So I might call a late entry for NZD JPY right here. Actually, this looks like a decent, like little movement for about 30 pips. But I'll come back to that shortly. So let's go back to odd NZD right here. Same situation right here. We have the rejection off this point. We have the buy signal right here. we have the, sorry guys, let me just go to the, delete this little scammer. This person not only conquers space, but ordinary people. All right, whatever. Let's ban this guy. There we go with that. All right, so looking back at odd NZD right here, I would want this to close above here before I take this trade. Once it closes above here, then we can take a long position because then we have a huge gap right here to shoot for like about 100 pips, right? Until this happens, I'm not going to take small trades within here because these are small moves. Like from right here to here, it's only about 10 pips. The spread's 5 pips. You got to pay the spread both ways to get in and out. You got to pay more spread than 10 pips to even get in and out of this trade at break even. So that's why I wouldn't take it right here. I'd wait for it to close above here before I end up taking this trade. Here's US 30. We have a rejection off the pivot right here. So we have about 9 minutes left on this candle. I'm going to come back and relook. I'm going to look at this again later. But if we have the wick rejection off the pivot and the structure right here, then I might take this for another buy scalp. That's what I'm waiting for right here. I'm waiting for the rejection off the pivot, rejection off the structure with the wick. If that happens, then we could take a long position right here for another little scalp for about 500 pips. Nothing too big, nothing too crazy, just a small scalp right there. Hop out, take our money, and then keep going. All right, so back to Forex right here. Same with AUD USD. I would want this to close above here before I take a long position. Obviously right here, we have the nice rejection down here. You guys can see that the strategy works for everything. It's not just certain pairs. It works for literally anything. If price closed, or it did close above here, so you can see that price did close above here. So I do anticipate it to push up at least to this structure up here. But I wouldn't take this trade because, for example, right here, it's only about a 12 pip move, right? The spread's about 1.4. I got to pay about 5 pips spread in and out to get in and out of this trade. I'm only going to be able to lock in maybe 5 or 6 pips for a small scalp if I was to take this trade here. So I want to wait for it to close above here so that we can take a bigger move. It's not that huge, but it's still 25 pips. 25 pips versus 5 pips, I would take this over that any day. So I'd wait for that to close above there before I take that trade. Back to US 30. Yeah, there's no rejection off the structure though, so I wouldn't want to take this until that qualifies. On to the next one, KD CHF. It's the same situation here, guys. Same pattern that I'm looking for. Rejection off this structure. Buy signal right here. This push up to this structure right here. What I'll be looking for next is for price to close above this right here. If price ends up closing above this structure right here, then I would take a long position. I mean, technically there's a long position that was available right here. I didn't take it because, like I mentioned, this was like close to the end of the week. So technically this would still be an active position right now for KD CHF if you guys wanted to take that trade. All right, next one, KJPY. This is technically active right now. So we had the rejection off this point. We had the buy signal right here. We had price break and close past the structure above here. That said, we take a long position right there. And it looks like it's on its way to full TP. If you guys caught this trade on the second, I didn't take this trade, but if you guys did take it, all the requirements are met right here. Buy signal, breaking close past structure, on its way to full TP right there. I think some of you guys took this trade. I didn't take it, but if you guys did, it looks pretty good so far. CHF JPY, it's the same exact pattern. It's been, I could keep drawing this over and over again, and you guys will see that it's the same thing over and over again, right? Rejection, buy signal. If it breaks above here and closes, then it's going to probably continue to push up further to here. And then if it closes past this structure over here, this is where we would take the buy. It's all about patience, guys. If you guys can wait for these perfect entries, you guys can make a ton of profit off these trades here. You guys can see why we have such a high win rate at K2 is because I'm really patient with my trades. I wait for the perfect setup. And once I have this right here, I'll take that buy. I wouldn't want to take it within here because it's just an 8 pip move, right? Spread's about 3 pips. You have to pay about 6 pips to get in and out of the trade. You only have about a 2 pip margin to lock in some profits. 2 pips isn't worth my risk if it ends up reversing on me. So that's it for that. Euro AUD right here. We have the rejection off the structure right here. we have the sell signal right here. What I'd be waiting for next is for price to break and close past this structure right here. Once price breaks and close past the structure, I can take a short position right there and then ride this all the way down to the next structure down here for about 60 to 70 pips, right? If that hits right there, then that'd be perfect because we could ride this all the way down here, exit it before it reaches this structure where it can either reject off it or it can break below it and continue down further. And if that happens, if it breaks below here and closes, what do you think we're gonna do from that point? Same thing, short position, ride that down from there again. But until then, there's obviously no entry available. Move on to Euro CAD. Let me check Euro US 30 again. All right, we're still waiting for that. We have about 4 minutes left on that candle. Back to Euro CAD right here. You can see right here the same pattern over and over again, right? Rejection off this structure, sell signal, breaking close past structure, retraces up a little bit before coming down to test this structure. Breaking close past structure right here, drop again down to this structure right here, right? So we're looking for the same thing here. We're waiting for this to close below this structure right here so that we can take another short position right there for a sell. That's, you know, best case scenario, this happens right here. Vice versa, we have a rejection off this point. If we get a buy signal somewhere around here, then it could do the complete opposite. We can actually ride this in the other direction up this way. Because looking at price right here where it happened last, rejection, buy signal, breaking close past structure right here, and then it pushes up right there, right? So this can go either way, but that's why we're waiting for that confirmation before we take this trade, because this can either, this can either go up if it rejects off this point and we get a buy signal, or it can come back down right here and then we can take that sell. You know, either way, we'll be for this trade, but until we have that confirmation, then we're just going to be sitting tight until we get that. So that's pretty much it for Euro CAD. Let's see. Skills Trade said EA looks good, lots of open space. Yeah, I agree with that too, Skills Trade. Looks pretty good. If this ends up closing below here, this is a nice move for about 60 pips. I would take that trade for sure. So I'll keep this marked right here in case. I don't think it's going to close before then. Euro CHF right here. Same exact pattern. Rejection, buy signal, break past close structure right there. Long position right there. It's technically active right now. If you guys took this last week on the 3rd, it's still pushing to full TP right there. Euro GBP. Obviously, we have a sell signal right here. We have a rejection, sell signal. So this is probably going to drop further down. It's still technically active right now. But reason why I didn't call it's because we had such a big candle. When this happens, there's usually a retracement. So one thing that I would want to look for is where the lower structure is, so that I know where the next rejection point is, right? All right, so it's way down here. We actually still have it drawn up from last week, so it's still perfectly fine. Yeah, if you guys wanted to take this trade, you can enter a sell stop right here and catch it as it comes down, like comes right back down to where it's supposed to go. So just keep that in mind for this right here. You know, until this ends up coming down, I'm going to mark this as well. I might call these as late entries because this can still drop from this point. If you have a sell stop set up right here, you can catch this right down and hit that TP as it continues to drop. Same with Euro AUD right here, waiting for this to close below, take that for a sell. And then same for NZD JPY right here as well. You know, if you haven't entered this trade yet, if I call it as an official trade, you can enter a buy stop right here so that when price swings up, it can fill your order and then you can write that to TP. So I'm going to zoom through these real quick, guys, because it doesn't look like there's really much going on in the market right now. Market's still slow as everything fully opens. It'll probably pick up within the next couple hours once we get closer to London Open. So same situation right here, rejection off the structure, buy signal. This is probably going to push up to test this structure right here, where it'll either reject off this point or it'll continue pushing up higher. That's it for Euro JPY, Euro NZD. Same exact pattern again, rejection, buy signal, rejection from this point, and then a shot back up, right? So what I'd be looking for here is for, there's not enough space here. It's only about 20 pips. I'd be looking for price to close and break and close past this structure right here. Then I would take the long position. Obviously, this is a long time to wait, but this can happen overnight. So during London session, if price just ends up spiking up, then you can easily catch this buy right here for like 80 pips. So that's what I'd be looking for Euro and ZD. Your USD, actually, let me go back to, so I'm going to be watching this real quick, guys. Give me a second. We have about 11 seconds left on this candle. I'm going to see if it closes as a valid entry. Doesn't look like it's going to, but we'll see. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second, no entry. All right, so no entry right there. Looks like this might be swinging back down. So Josh, your Sunday Fun Day entry might still be good. Not sure if you're still watching it, but it looks like it can keep dropping down further. So if you took Josh's entry right here, it's still technically active. It didn't hit stop loss. If you guys factored in the spread, you should be fine, because there's still space right there. It didn't hit stop loss yet. It's still on its way, back down. So we'll see. Hopefully it comes down, because I know some of you guys took it. So if you guys did take it, I'd prefer it to come down and hit your TP, and then I could just scalp it downwards. So here's where it could flip, guys. Right here, if we have the rejection off the pivot and rejection off the structure with the wick. So if this pushes up right here, for example, it pushes up and then it swings right back down. So it pushes up quickly, then it swings back down. Then we'll have a wick rejecting off this pivot and rejecting off the structure. If that happens, you can have an entry for a sell right here for a scalp. So I'll keep looking at that. Here's your USD. Let me just analyze this real quick. Same pattern right here. Rejection, buy signal. What we're waiting for here is a close past this structure right here. So we want this to push up higher, close past that structure, then we can take a long position right here to TP at that point, right? 45 pips. So that's what we'd be looking for here for your USD. I don't think this is going to happen in 8 minutes, but if it does, we'll be ready to take that trade. Next up is GA right here. We have the same situation right here, rejection. You can see it goes both ways. It's not just buys. Rejection off that point, sell signal right there. We want this to close pretty far down, maybe to this point. Let me measure this real quick. This would be a decent move right here. This is too close, so I wouldn't take this one. It's only about 20 pips, but this down here is a bigger move. So if it closes below this structure right here, we can take a small move to the next structure for about 40 pips. Nothing too crazy, but 40 pips is 40 pips. And then if it ends up breaking below here further, another sell entry. Breaks below here again, another sell entry, right? There's a bunch of sell entries you can take here, and you can just keep riding it down as it continues further. So that's GA right there. GBP CAD right here. Let's see. We have a rejection off this point. We have the buy signal right here. There's actually an active order right now right here, or an active position. If you guys took this last week, I wouldn't have taken this because, like I mentioned, this happened on Friday before market closed. So I personally wouldn't have taken it. But just looking at this point right here, it's still technically active. So if you wanted to enter this, you can possibly enter a buy stop right here and then catch it as it swings up. However, I would personally just wait for it to confirm another entry at that point. So that's that for that. GPCHF, this is too messy. I'm not even bother analyzing this because it's within this zone. GJ right here. This is another good entry right here. We have rejection from that point. Buy signal right there. This is probably going to push up and test this structure over there. So it's got about 100 pip move until it reaches the next structure. So GJ looks like a pretty decent buy if you guys are looking to enter this buy right here. GN right here. I guess this is a rejection candle. Sell signal right here. Probably close below the structure, maybe another sell entry, or if it pushes down even further to here, let's see how much gap is here. Actually, it's not bad. So if it closes below the structure, you can take a short position and then ride this down to this next structure right here for about 40 pips. That's it for GN. Next up is GU right here. Let's see. We have the rejection off this point. Buy signal right here. price ends up pushing up above this structure and closes, then I would take that long position right here. But until then, no entry for GU. Because like I mentioned earlier, I analyzed this earlier for, who did I analyze this for? For Ollie. So right here, like I mentioned, there's two scenarios that can play out. Price can either swing above here, close, take a buy. Vice versa, if it swings below here, say we get a rejection off this candle and it swings below here, then we can take a short position here instead of a buy. So two different scenarios there that can play out, but we'd have to wait for that confirmation before we end up taking this trade. Next up is NZD CAD. Nothing there. We have the rejection off this point. We have the buy signal right here. It's currently at structure, so it can either break above here and continue up higher, or it can reject off this point and come back down. Right? Two different things that can play out right there. But we'll have to wait and see how this ends up playing out, you know, with time. NZD CHF over here. This is a messy pair. A lot of the CHF pairs are messy. So if you guys have been following CHF, it's usually not a smooth move. So I'm not even going to bother analyzing this because it's just too risky of a trade. So NZD JPY, I think I'm going to call this trade for a small little move right here. It's a late entry. Obviously, the entry played out over here on the previous candle. Or technically, it played out down here. So this would have been the actual full entry. So this would have been the entry right here because we had price. So we had the rejection right here. We had the buy signal right here. We had price break and close past this structure right here. So this technically would have been the full entry right here to push up to there for about 42 pips. However, we're entering late right here. So same situation, but just a late entry. And this would be a pretty decent entry as well. So like, for example, right here, I probably would take this. I'm going to call this entry for the premium members. Over here. I don't think I called anything, right? I know I shared this trade, but I didn't call it. All right, so it's cool. I'm going to call it right here. You guys will see how I call these trades for K2. It's super simple. There we go. So we got a valid entry for NZD JPY. And it's not that difficult, guys. Like all the trades that I call here are actual trades that I identify and I take on my own. So I'm going to take this on my own account as well. But I'm going to give it to you guys real quick before I take it. This is a small move. It's only 30 pips, nothing crazy. So instead of using 3 TPs, I'm only going to use 2. Oops. There we go. Send that to the premium. So this looks pretty good so far. You know, I might use my... No, I don't want to log into mine here. So I'll probably put this in on my other account. I have like a little small account here on Forex.com that I usually use for my Forex trades, which I'll probably be taking. Here, let me see. I could log into mine real quick. I'm gonna move my thing over and log in real quick. This is a small account. It's nothing too crazy. I don't have my login for. All right, never mind. I was gonna log in, but I forgot I'm using the new TradingView app. So if you guys use TradingView, there's actually a new app. Like it's an actual app. This isn't the web base. I don't have my login set in on here. Let me see if I can find mine actually. So guys, let's see. Trying to think what my login is. I have a bunch of logins. All right, here, let me try to log this in real quick. So I have a lot of accounts, so I don't remember what my login is for specific brokers. I'll need to try this out. All right, it's trying to log me in. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'm in the trade. All right, perfect. So yeah. So I'll take this on my own live account as well. So let's see. Let me set this alert real quick. Filled. TV1's 15 pips. TV1 plus 15. TP's 30 pips. And the stop loss is 30 pips as well. All right, cool. So I have this set up right here. Let me just set the trade up on my own account. Let's see. So buy stop order. 30 pips. Yeah, I'm risking 5% on this trade. So I'm only taking 0.59 lot size. So this is on my live account, obviously my forex.com account. It's not a big account. It's a small one that I just trade all the signals on. Well, not a small account. It's not a micro account. It's a decent account. There's a couple thousand in there. So I'm taking this for 5% risk, and we'll see how that plays out. All right, so let me see how that is. Let me go back to US 30 real quick. Okay, so we might be taking a buy here. So we're looking for another rejection off this point. We have about 9 minutes left on this candle. Other than that, let me see if there's anything else that I can call right now. Call that NZD-JPY. Let me check this real quick if there's anything here. Nothing for NZD-USD, nothing for USD-CAD, nothing for USD-CHF, and nothing for UJ either. So we had a couple here marked up. This didn't close below the structure, so we're not taking this trade just yet. But I'll keep watching it. So I think that's it for that. Take that off. EG right here. Nothing there as well. So if you guys have any other questions, put them in the chat right now. Otherwise, I'm probably going to log off soon. If you guys didn't have your questions answered today, it's no worries. The market's slow right now. I'll be back live tomorrow for the live session, so you guys can ask more questions there. Otherwise, I'm just going to wait for this to close out. I'm going to see if there's another scalp entry I can take here for US 30. If not, I'll probably be logging off for the night, and then I'll be back tomorrow morning for the live session at 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, if you guys want to trade with me during New York session. So I'll be trading live tomorrow. Other than that, I think we're just hanging tight for the time being. This is the only pending trade we have right now for Forex, which is this buy stop for NZD-JPY. I'm currently looking for a possible scalp here for US 30 if I can find something. See if there's anything else here. So that's US 30. Let's check out. So VIX looks good right here. Nilton, I don't think he ever came back, right? So Nilton said, let me get the symbol, but I don't think he ever came back to give me the symbol. So if you did take this trade, it looks like it hit full TP. This is the one that I looked at earlier today. And then yeah, if this trade was taken, it looks like it's about to hit, full TP on that point. Let me pull up gold real quick. I know we were analyzing that earlier. So yeah, looking at gold right here. Doesn't look like there's an entry available right here right now. Hey, what's up, Marissa? How's it going, bro? Cameron to GJ. Let me pull up GJ real quick. So GJ, this is what I analyzed earlier, Cameron. So it looks like we have a buy position that's technically, well, it's not active, but if you did take this right here, it's technically active right there. So it's currently pretty far in profit. Still on its way to full TP above here. So I would see GJ as a buy right now. Cameron, looking at GJ, I just look at the other JPY pairs. So odd JPY, it's bullish. CAD JPY, bullish, on its way to full TP. CHF JPY, bullish. Euro JPY, bullish. NZD JPY, also bullish. And UJ, this is technically just going sideways right now because they're both bullish, the US dollar and the Japanese index. So looking at GJ right here, I think this is going to be bullish as well. It's probably going to push up to test this structure. Let me just pull up the index right here. So I'll pull up the pound index over here first. Let's see, we got the pound index right here. And then we have the Japanese index right over here. So if you look at this closely right here, Cameron, you can see that the pound index is pretty strong, pushing up, right? And then this is pushing, I mean, technically it's trending down, but it's pushing up right now. So this is actually a little bit of a risky pair because, or a risky pair to trade, because you can see here that they're both kind of going the opposite direction, right? So this is trending up, but it's coming down. This is trending down, but it's pushing up. So what I see GJ happening right now is probably, it's just going to go sideways. So it's going to go sideways for a bit until direction has been set. So like for right here, this will either, this will either push up from this point. So if it keeps pushing up from here and this comes back down, then we could see GJ go where it's supposed to go. It's going to continue pushing up, right? But until there's confirmation that it keeps pushing in that direction, then we're just gonna have to wait for it to play out, right? But for example here, the pound index is bullish. The Japanese index is bearish, right? If that happens, that's going to mean that the pound is stronger than the Japanese yen. And if that happens, it's going to keep pushing up. So yeah, Cameron, if you're looking at this, I mean, I personally think it's going to keep pushing up. But right now, currently, just the way that the indexes are moving, it's probably just going to go sideways until that's established. So yeah, it looks good for the most part. So yeah, Marissa, I did look at EA again. I mean, I looked at EA earlier, but I'll look at it again for you right here. So for example, I'm waiting for EA to break and close past the structure until we can take this trade. So yeah, let's go straight. Cameron's talking to me and you were talking to Marissa. But yeah, Marissa, just looking at EA over here, we're waiting for this to break and close past the structure, and then we can take that sell. But until then, we're just going to keep sitting tight because it's going to easily reject off this structure and shoot up this way. So I wouldn't take that trade until it ends up closing below this structure, because you don't want to get caught in any reversals off that point. So let me just pull up US 30 again real quick. All right, yeah, so it looks like the market's just moving pretty slow right now, guys. So I don't really see anything happening from now until, possibly tomorrow. So unless you guys have any other questions, looks like I'm going to sign off for the night. I'll probably answer some more questions in the chat if you guys do have questions. Otherwise, I'm probably just going to keep checking out the charts until this ends up playing out. But I might just call it a night, guys, because the market's just moving too slow. It's not really worth staying up unless you're going to trade London session, because it's just market's just dead right now. All right, guys, so I think that's about it. I'm all done with the questions. So we're done for this weekly chart analysis. Hopefully this helped out, guys. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. If you guys haven't already, if you guys can like the stream, that'll definitely help, and then I can continue to keep coming live for you guys every day. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys back here in about, what is it, like 8 hours? So 6:30 a.m. my time, which is Pacific Standard Time. I'll be back here live for the New York session, where we'll be taking some trades for some scalps and for the daily US 30 trade. So until then, guys, I'll catch you guys later, and I'll catch you guys here back tomorrow morning.